What's up, y'all? This is step two on how to navigate being a chosen one. This is an episode I think a lot of people will be excited for. But additionally, I think it's going to be an episode that a lot of people are going to have a lot of hesitation about as it pertains to magic. Now, a lot of people in the chosen one community are coming from a background of Christianity, but I should say they're coming from a background of a new Christianity, kind of like a commodified sort of almost fast food approach to Christianity that doesn't really honor the original roots. But the point remains that there's a lot of programming that's been instilled as a result of um, church interpretations of Christianity in the modern day that we're going to have to re examine in this episode uh, in order to come to the conclusion as to the appropriate way as to how we're to deal with the evolutionary pressure that God has placed on us. So, the idea of magic in uh, the modern Christian conception is considered abhorrent. And the idea is if you do it at all, whoosh, going straight to hell. You know what I mean? It's like you're in, there you go, you're at the gates of heaven going down. It's okay, did all this good stuff, you know what I mean? Helped the old ladies, you know what I mean? Donated to the poor, no sins, forgave everybody. Ooh, but what's this? You did some magic. Sorry, you got to go straight to hell. Um, the idea really is this is that hell, first of all, get it out of your head. This new Christian idea that you are a brand new soul. You were just born into this body and you get one lifetime and then you either go party in heaven forever or you get stabbed in the ass with a pitchfork in hell forever. That's not even close to reality. Um, if that's something that you strongly believe, most likely this channel is too advanced for your understanding and you should go watch another video. This channel only talks about true things and things that are real. So the reality is, and the more advanced studies of religion and spirituality will reaffirm that reincarnation is real. Okay? Kabbalah reaffirms this. Um, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, even early Judaism and Christianity all reaffirm reincarnation. It's this pie in the sky modern idea that you're born once and then if you're a good boy on your best behavior, you get to go to Sky Disney. But if not, you get to roast on a lake of fire forever, and there's nothing you can do about it. Pure, raw, uncut bullshit. So that's not true. So just to reaffirm what I've been saying in previous videos, we are reaching a point in our reincarnation cycle that we are reaching closer to this light of evolution that's progressing us directly to God. But in order to get to God, we need to experience all of our karma and learn the lessons associated with it to purify our own souls and to get rid of all fragmentation, attachment, duality, and sin so that all that's left is that pure white light. And that way we get to God. But the end result is, um, and this video is going to talk a little bit about the balance to be struck between fate and free will because both are true. I mean, I think a big reason why a lot of people are hesitant or resistant to the idea of magic as I was is that clearly there's already a plan for your life. And to use magic, certainly excessively, is to tamper with that in ways that you were never meant to. Um, but one thing to understand is that there is a progression and then there is a plan for your life and God does have an intention for your life. But free will comes into that a lot and the choices you make and the deals you make come into that a lot. Don't let that be a trigger word. I'm not talking about making deals with demons. Um, the more intelligent members of the magic and occult community recognize that that's basically crackhead magic for idiots who are self-destructive. But the idea of deals is going to come into this a little bit because generally I am of the viewpoint that the magic that you do should be intended to help bolster and clarify that evolutionary energy that's already there. In other words, a lot of people that are watching this video that are chosen ones will be tempted to use magic in a way that it just gives you everything that you've been denied. And there are, let me make this very clear, there are magical operations that you can perform related to certain planets that will, and just generally in all manner of different schools of magic, not necessarily related to astrological, to get those things you want. There is magic that can make you well liked and allow you to have friends and to get you out of an isolation period. There is magic to make you famous. There is magic to make you rich. There is magic to make you have a lot of sex. Thing is, that's not you chosen one. Okay? You are privy to a higher kind of wisdom and a level of understanding that's far beyond the understanding of the common peasant as well as the common occultist. I know a lot of occultists. Most occultists I've ever met are highly intellectual, but terribly, terribly unwise. I'd say just about everyone I've ever met is very unwise, but pretty intellectual and kind of smart, but unwise. So, this wisdom is understanding that um, there is evolutionary pressure that's been there since the day you were born and is part of a cycle and a progression. And another very big important piece of wisdom is that nothing in life is free. Nothing in life is free. Everything costs something. So many occultists and magicians, in their naivete and short sightedness and just general stupidity, believe that hey, you have these problems in life. Thankfully, we have all these magical solutions that you can just keep throwing around, and then you'll have the best life ever. And then you can just keep doing that forever. This is not true because ultimately, what that is you are taking out energetic loans uh, from your future self, essentially, is the best way to think about it. Because every time that you come into human form through reincarnation, um, your karma is addressed. You understand? And the lessons that you're meant to learn transformationally are a very big part of your soul contract and the conditions of your rebirth. Meaning that if you use magic to ignore all of those influences energetically that you were born with that create all of this conflict and tension that was planned by you, that means the next lifetime comes around and now you're playing catch up with double the amount of karma. And the problem with that is um, most people do not know how to work productively with this evolutionary energy at all. Most people's alchemical abilities are practically zero. So that basically guarantees that you'll become a descending soul. This is very video cut me off. One thing that we're going to learn is that our patron star of protection today is associated with electrical malfunctions and technological malfunctions. But what I was saying is most people's alchemical ability is zero. You understand. So that means as our lifetimes go on, the evolutionary pressure is going to keep increasing. You know, where the evolution never stops. You either evolving or devolving. Everything is in vibration. Everything is in oscillation. This is just a law of the universe. There's nothing that can be done about it. But the problem, the big problem that humanity as a whole continues to face that keeps them trapped in this cycle of suffering and death and rebirth is that their ability to work productively and alchemically with this evolutionary pressure does not grow at the same rate as the evolutionary pressure itself. In other words, we are getting closer to this evolutionary light, and it brings increasing levels of intensity. But if our ability to uh, alchemically transmute the things in the darkness that are revealed by that light does not increase proportionally, then you become more and more chaotic and angry and berserk until eventually you snap and then you swear vengeance and rage upon all of humanity, and fall in love with the world. And that is the point at which someone becomes a descending soul. And once you make the decision to become a descending soul, there's nothing you can do. You have finalized your choice in a crystallized way, and that means you are going to descend back into the animal forms, and then to the plant forms, and then to the mineral forms, and you're going to go through millions of lifetimes of suffering. Okay, so the idea behind this magic, this anti-demon magic, I must make very clear up front, is that this is not any form of hex or curse work. This magical operation does not create negative karma for yourself. This is something to understand, and this is also something to understand if you decide to go off on your own after watching this video and attempt to use magic as a way of mitigating the intensity of the evolutionary energy that you were born with. Is that if you do anything magically that would be considered enemy work or a hex or a curse, what you're doing, the mechanics behind this, is that you are embedding malice and enmity and anger towards a person, which is creating a greater division. That image is being embedded in the soul, and that's separating you further from divinity. So it is creating bad karma. It is separating you from divinity. If you do any kind of hex or curse, I'm not taking this. No, I'm not that guy. Don't think I'm here to moralize and say that, oh, it's not the Christian thing to do. Oh, it's immoral. Forget about that for now. I'm saying it's bad for you. I'm saying it's bad for you. And I'm also saying that it's unwise, and it does not reflect upon you as a chosen one to do something like that, because the wise person realizes that karma is already a law of the universe, and you don't actually have to lift a finger to do baneful magic towards anyone. The karma is already in effect. You don't actually have to do anything. And in fact, um, uh, as many unwise, stupid occultists fail to realize, doing that hex work and cursing really only curses yourself. Okay, what I mean by that is the other person is going to suffer in some way, but that is going to reflect upon their karma. You understand? If they are being hexed and cursed, that means that fate has dictated that you will put that hex and that curse upon them. And in that way, you're basically just giving them the karma that they already had. You understand? That they were going to face anyways. It is considered under, it's not like you're adding to their total karma they have to work off. You understand? Or their total suffering they have to deal with. That is, your curse is part of their karma. What makes you stupid in that instance is that the only karma that you've added is to yourself. Meaning, the funny thing about hexes and curses, yes, in the short-sighted viewpoint, you get to watch them suffer, which I'm sure you like a lot. But um, the person who is adding more suffering, person that's having more suffering added to their being is you. You're not adding any additional suffering they were not going to face, but you are adding it to yourself. Okay, so that is my disclaimer about hexes and baneful magic. Um, yeah. So what we're doing instead with our algal talisman. Don't be alarmed by the name algal, and don't be alarmed when you Google this and you see the name demon star. Trust me, there is a very big difference between demonic, goetic magic, which is the magic of crackheads and idiots, and astrological magic, which almost universally uses the name of angels, and of which there is a very stark contrast in approach as to what determines a baneful demonic magic approach and a ultimately angelic approach. Um, Algol is called the demon star, and the thing to understand is that this is the most important talisman, astrological magic, probably the only magic that any person really needs as a chosen one. But if you do not have this, you're in grave danger, because I have to say again, most chosen ones, there's this idea about chosen ones is that we are the 144,000 and we're all going to ascend and we are all going to kick ass and turn darkness to light in this world and we're all going to heaven after. There's so much delusion and idiocy in that idea that's being propagated. Okay? This channel is one of the closest you'll get to understanding the actual mechanisms of what's going on as a chosen one. And this is the no bullshit zone. The truth is, everybody becomes a chosen one. You're not God's special little person. And that's very crucial to understand. And when I say everybody becomes a chosen one, I mean everybody. I mean everybody around you in this world was a chosen one. And they started descending. Most chosen ones fail. Why? Well, a very big reason is the stories that we tell ourselves as chosen ones. You could be a Terry Joel Jr. and be like, no, bro, the reason you're a chosen one is because you're here to lift weights and dunk on the haters, and they're going to be mad. You could be that kind of chosen one, or you could be like the fucking chosen 144 guy. Be like, no. I don't even want to. I don't even want to do that impression. But basically, the idea, like, yeah, no, you got no lessons to learn. You're only here to remember how pure you are, and then bring that light to the world to transform the world, because we're here to transform the world as chosen ones and kick ass. And no, not accurate, my friend. So chosen one. What this means is that you are progressing, and everybody's a part of this cycle. You are progressing to that apex of evolutionary pressure that's trying to get you to God and trying to detach you from the world. And that is painful like a root canal, yes. Um, and those that fail to learn alchemy, meaning to take these negative forces that we have accumulated and bound ourselves to, and to learn to transform that and turn it into purification for ourselves, non-attachment, using it as pressure to rise above sin, to use us to rise above attachment, uh, rise above duality, to rise above, the ego. If you don't learn to do that, this pressure keeps adding up, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't transform it, so the pressure just turns into more and more bitterness and hatred until you go absolutely berserk with rage. That's the truth. The whole game of this magic that I'm sharing with you here today um, is to affect the timeline of karma, so that we, in our short sightedness and in our ego and defensiveness, can actually learn to progress our abilities to work alchemically with these traumatic experiences rather than letting them overtake us and build and build and build until we go berserk with hatred. So, what this talisman is this slows down the rate of our karma related to enemies, and it dramatically increases the rate at which they process karma. So there is an imbalance in how karma is processed between chosen ones and the worthless common person of the Kali Yuga. Because we are progressing towards that evolutionary light, the rate of our karma being processed is increasing to breakneck speeds. Meanwhile, the demonic people of the Kali Yuga, they're separating from that light, which means that more slowly they process their karma, but at the same time, they're further away from happiness and joy and reality, and they're being, of course, overtaken by demons. So they become like starving wanderers, and they're hungry because they don't have God in their life. So they just feel empty and miserable, and that's why they're emotional vampires. But because another cutoff, another cutoff. That's how you know this algal talisman really works. Because um, of this imbalance in how we process karma, I mean, for a lot of chosen ones, there's a lot of resentment associated with that. Why do I suffer and they seem to not have anything happen to them? And more to the point, more relevant to us, it's far too intense the level of karma we're dealing with. I mean, it's our own fault. We should have in former lifetimes, if we were truly divine, if we truly followed the signals the universe was giving us, um, we should have picked up on those signals and did what we almost certainly in our hearts knew what to do, but we didn't. So now the evolutionary intensity has increased, but our ability to deal with it has not. So this is one of those deals I was talking about. Generally, we would not want to borrow these powers because, in effect, it's associated with going against the plan that you were born with. But for chosen ones specifically, especially chosen ones at this point in the cycle of their timeline, um, is very important. Now, right now, the levels of demonic energy are quickly spiraling out of control. The average person is becoming berserk and angry and hateful and bloodthirsty. Um, the chaos in the air is rippling. Everything's electric with insanity and malice and grimy evil. Um, the thing to understand is that um, when you see that, alarm bells should be ringing because that means that the end times are closely approaching. When things all across the world start to look like that, that means time is running out. So that means that you, because humanity moves in waves like this, right now in this part of the timeline, there's no down the middle people. Everybody's either worthless, disgusting, evil, demonic garbage, or they're highly pure, but not perfected, chosen ones. So if they are reaching the level that they're reaching, that means we're getting very close to that evolutionary threshold, which means that we do not have the luxury of time as chosen ones. And in point of fact, uh, many of us do not have the work ethic or the intensity of focus and the discipline to do everything associated with achieving full enlightenment and full uh, disentanglement with worldly things so that we can exist as pure astral. So the best we're shooting for the most part as chosen ones is the opportunity to be born again another lifetime without descending, um, so that we can continue our ascension process. So that is what that talisman is for. That talisman creates no karma in any direction. It does not add karma to the other person. It does not add karma for you. It does not reduce your karma. It does not reduce their karma. What it is a karmic timeline speed manipulator. It makes your karma related to enemies be processed slower, and also hexes. It protects you against witchcraft. It protects you against curses and evil eye. This is why this talisman is absolutely necessary to have, is because you don't know as a chosen one how much of this suffering that you're going through you were born with and how much of it was added to you. And there is a school of thought that would say um, that hexes and curses that are put upon you are included as part of your karma that you are meant to work out chemically with. But regardless, the big point is we are at a point in the timeline where the intensity is too great and our alchemical abilities are too limited. Um, we are in the special ed retard class. That's what this world is right now. We're the special ed retard class. They're special ed retards because they literally have no idea how to behave as intelligent beings, and they constantly hurt themselves and others, and they don't know what they're doing. And forgive them, they know not what they do. We're a special ed retard class because we have all this wisdom and awareness, but we do not do any of the practices that would necessitate and guarantee our ascension. So we're the slow kids that have not been doing our work. So we need to play catch up now. We need to catch up on our homework. So that's what these kind of talismans are for. Now, without further ado, I'm going to get into the practical steps that you can take, and also what this star is all about that we're going to be using for our magic. And yeah, and here's another talisman that came from my friend. Yeah, you can see it. All right, we're going to do a little bit of reading here. First, I want to go into the sort of testimonies that you're likely to see. Or better yet, let's start. Let's start here. What is this? Come on. All right. Switch slides. What the hell is this, man? Let me switch it. There we go. Okay. First, what is Algol? Algol is a star that exists at 26 degrees, 26 minutes of the tropical Taurus sign. Okay? What we can say about Algol, what does it do? This star brings hatred and courage, preserves the members of the body, and grants vengeance over anyone you wish. That's one way of putting it, according to Hermes. But just generally, this is a protection talisman, and it's generally regarded as being the strongest protection talisman, or really the most strongest protection magic that anybody could use. Now, there's different kinds of magic that exist. Upon studying different kinds of magic, I've come to the conclusion, as many others have, that there are more impotent forms of magic. You know what I mean? Like really, like silly, like fairy tale stuff, like working with elementals and stuff like this. Um, you've got your crackhead idiot magic, which is what goetic demonic magic is, which basically for every problem that you solve, you create two new problems. Um, and then there's your kind of like down the middle sort of dangerous magic, like your Solomonic magic. But really, the cream of the crop as it comes to any kind of magic is your astrological magic in the vein of Picatrix, which is the magic of the original magi in the Middle East in the early Middle Ages, um, of the Arabians, and that's the best magic and the strongest magic for long-term consistent results. There are stronger magics for the short term, and that's your hoodoo and your voodoo. But those are only for short term. For our purposes, we're a little bit more interested in long term results for our magic so we can proceed continuously with a level of protection from demonic attack. Um, so I'm going to include some links in the description as to some hoodoo practices, some of the strongest spell work that I'm aware of to protect against demonic attack in the short term. But really, the cream of the crop as it comes to any kind of protection magic anywhere ever is Algol. Nothing is stronger than this. And again, this, as chosen ones, we are reaching the highest level of evolutionary pressure. I mean, there's much more for us in store. Okay, to get an idea of how intense this gets before ascension, think of Jesus. Jesus Christ was a chosen one, and he achieved a very high level of purification and ascension. But in order to fully untether from the world and achieve enlightenment and become angelic and to escape the cycle of death and rebirth, he accumulated so much high vibration evolutionary energy that everywhere he went, he drove everyone berserk with hatred for him, and that's what got him crucified. Okay, so those are the levels of intensity that we want to reach, but most chosen ones never even reach because they have no alchemical ability. Jesus Christ was a master alchemist, so masterful, in fact, that even in crucifixion of the people he tried to help, he forgave them. That's a master alchemist. Okay, so because we're receiving such intense levels of spiritual warfare, it's absolutely critical that we control the flow of this intensity, and that is what algal is for. We cannot use there are definitely other magical protection measures that can be employed, all kinds of other stars that have protective elements, but as a chosen one, this talisman, this star was made specifically for you. You need the highest level of protection possible because you're at the highest level of spiritual warfare. And eventually you will reach the level of spiritual warfare that Jesus himself endured. As they say, uh, higher levels, new devils, right? So, Algol is, as a star, very protective indeed. But to be perfectly honest about the nature of this star, it will protect you, and as you work with it, it will also protect any loved ones you have. But a very important thing to understand is that Algol is the cruelest sphere in all of the heavens. Okay? As magic, please understand this. It will not harm you. At worst, in the first week, it will cause some electrical and technological problems, like the new Algol talisman that just came from my buddy. But really, it's mostly directed at others, and really, the worst of Algol comes in the form of people's birth charts that they were born with a relation to Algol, where a certain planet is conjunct Algol. Just to give you a flavor of what this star is capable of in and of itself, outside the context of magic, this star is associated with decapitations and murder and head injuries and paralysis and like snapping of necks and wringing people's necks. It's insanely brutal and cruel, this star. But in our uh, blessing of it, we call upon it in an angelic sense. Its cruelty is greatly diminished, and it is focused at people of demonic intention and malevolent intention towards you. It's a protective star. But it's important to understand that all around you are people that want to destroy you. Okay, we're in the Kali Yuga. Only the most worthless demonic people are born into this time, other than chosen ones. So, just to give a taste and just to remind you, as if you're a chosen one, you already know this, but sometimes we forget. So, just to remind you, all around you are people who want to make you hate yourself. They want to laugh at you. They want to humiliate you. They want to make you so small that you can't defend yourself at all. They want to tower over you and be happy while you're pathetic and miserable. They want to take everything that you love away from you, and they want to inflict maximum trauma upon you. Okay? That's the reality of what you're dealing with. The people that are trying to hurt you, when I say worthless in every video, I really mean that. Their feelings don't matter because they wish maximum trauma and destruction upon you. So their feelings just don't even matter. Okay, so keep that in mind as we read real reviews from a guy who, although he's been unscrupulous with regard to um, what he has sold as products, which in my opinion have been rather low quality, and I think knowingly so he can make more money. Understand that he has had the positive trait of uploading all good and bad reviews of the products that he's made that are, higher quality. And even when he makes a bad one, he uploads the reviews that were of poor quality. So this is going to tell you what real people have had experiences with regard to algol as a magical talisman. Okay, so this is very typical. Thank you, Mr. Warnock. I just want to let you know that about 4 minutes after I received the Algol talisman, we got a power outage on the college campus I work at. Algol is already at work. It's incredible. So that's like the 3 or 4 technical difficulties that I've had on my OBS today that, of course, never happen otherwise. Um, Algol talisman. Hi, Chris. The talisman is beautiful and arrived quickly. Although I read your disclaimer, Algol's arrival has definitely been startling in the past few days. Both of our cars have started to have electrical issues, and we had a neighborhood power outage. This is a completely different person talking about power outages last night. Even more humorous that my friend was planning to pick me up from the repair shop this morning when her car battery died. I haven't even had a chance to do a ritual yet, but when I do, I hope I have enough enemies to keep Algol busy. And as a chosen one, of course, you will. Very, very important to understand before you're turned off by this. This is very common in the first week of having an Algol talisman. Algol is sort of like a pit bull, and you need to make it part of the family, and only then it'll protect you and go after the people that are, worthless demonic garbage. But up until that point, it's attacking all insincerity and falsehood, and that tends to be a very big part of what electricity and artifice is. So, yeah, that's another case of our first week Algol. All right. The Algol talisman is very intense. Even with a white altar covering and white candles during the consecration, it caused an injury, non-permanent, but one that takes a while to heal from someone to someone who was arguing with me. Because of that, I am keeping it hidden away in case of emergency. It is something that I am glad to own as someone on the spectrum who could be easily taken advantage of, but that I do not want to make liberal use of. I enjoy playing around with how I mentally conceptualize Algol. Sometimes I view her as a protective maternal figure. So that's very typical. You'll see if you go on Google and you listen to, or YouTube, and you listen to people's descriptions, they call it Mother Algol. They describe it as a very feminine, protective energy. You see that with the image of Medusa in some cases, but another image in the case of I believe it was Agrippa's conception, or him chronicling a certain other tradition of how Algol talismans are made, is related to a man with a beard with blood running down the beard. Okay. All right. Okay. Algol talisman. I'm back with the Algol talisman. Forgot that it creates animosity and instills in you the courage, bravery, and aggression necessary to keep the bad people at bay. I was thinking, what the hell? I suddenly became unpleasant out of the blue. The dogs were barking the hell out of me on the streets, damn it, but one of them didn't come near me. The neighbors with their sick, old, and noisy dogs suddenly stopped being a nuisance, and now I notice strongly how much he protects me and punishes. People have phenomenal bad luck, and some have even cried. I find it that it gives me an aura of social invisibility, and only people compatible with me are attracted to me. Holy shit, chosen ones! Does that not sound like the best thing ever? He was a true, reliable friend. I don't give up on it. Okay, I don't care about you. I honor the spirit in the jewel. I wear it almost 24, whatever that means. I think he helped me to understand some psychological notions. I have an increased supply of general stamina, sexual vitality, specific energy of resistance in the body. Um, okay, so for this guy, an increase in sex, but he has gates of guaranteed protection, luck from nowhere, and animosity from people. They don't like him, especially women. It's incredibly funny. So yeah, he describes having an increase of luck with regard to their Algol talisman. But one thing to keep in mind is maybe it's not necessarily increasing luck. Maybe it's just blocking the hexes and the curses that have been put upon you, um, and that results in a restoration of your natural luck that comes as a result of your natal chart. Okay. I could say that today is the first day I wore it. I love it. I feel strongly how it takes care of me. Today I had a fantastically easy day, and all the mean people stayed away from me. I'm a smoker, and I could say that I have an aura that kept many smokers at a distance. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. We women suffered drastically during the menstrual period. I was afraid that he would be aggressive, as if I had a very kind and loving invisible friend. And the shitty people were kept at a distance and avoided eye contact. I have heard so many stories like that. And the more you do your own research on algal as protection magic, you will see a lot of stories of the wrong people coming up to you, and then they notice something's wrong, and so they break eye contact with you. They look down, and they try to break conversation and try to walk away. Many of them will incessantly apologize to you, sometimes even if they haven't done anything wrong, because they're just apologizing for what's in their fucked up evil head. Um, okay. A somewhat insensitive and abusive boss almost severed a tendon of her hand with a knife because she tried to abuse and accuse me unfairly. And another colleague was one step away from having an entire batch returned to her, blocked and rechecked again. Most people did not come closer than the minimum distance of 2 meters from me. A colleague who has only been in the company for 1 month, I noticed that she always liked to sit at a distance of at least 1.5 meters, and towards the end of the program, almost touching her shoulders. The end of the program, when I had to leave the shift, it was empty at the turnstile, something that never happens. There was always a rush. A discreet curse whispered and sneaky ugly look. In the toilets, that the same. Some electronic malfunctions. There we go again. Okay. So yeah, this is great. When you go out in public, here's the thing to understand. This talisman will make you a porcupine, but right now you're a doe. Okay? Right now you're a little baby deer. And that's why people see fit to just come and wipe their ass with you. Is because they know nothing's really going to happen. Because that's the current that evolutionary pressure has guaranteed. It gives power to worthless people to abuse it so they can become worse. And it gives you the opportunity to take that abusive power and work alchemically with it to transmute it. So your natural connection to this protective energy is being released so that you have the opportunity to develop your alchemical skills. Unfortunately, it's much too intense. So with the algal being reintegrated, you're regaining a lot of that protection and power from previous lifetimes, where the evolutionary intensity wasn't so intense. So now you become more like a porcupine. So you notice you always go out and people are smirking at you and laughing at you, and they all think it's perfectly fine to just come up to you and just be disrespectful right up on you. Now every time they do that, they're gonna get stabbed. Okay, and that porcupine quill that's stuck in their fucking skin, they're going to feel the sting for that for days. Okay? And that way they're going to learn to just not even fuck with you. Not entirely. This is not the silver bullet that makes all evil people go away, but this is the most powerful spell and the most powerful magic that I believe is already currently known to the world. Okay, so it stops the level of intense abuse and group mob cruelty, and it brings it down a lot to a more manageable degree so that you can start to learn to work alchemically with it. By the way, the next video in this series is not going to be so dark and sinister. As a matter of fact, it's a lot of my video series is going to be kind of about the idea of combining yin and yang. Um, so this step in this episode is a lot more yin. A lot of the very vicious negative things I have to say are in this episode, and the rest of this series is going to be related to working alchemically with the things that are present. And as a matter of fact, the next step in this series is going to be related to forgiveness and love. So don't be put off by the sinister tone of this episode, but do understand that this episode and this step in this video is pretty much where we're going to be putting all of our resentment and anger and enmity and all of our piss and vinegar. We have built up a lot of disdain, and we have built up a lot of resentment and anger because The world has wiped its ass with us, and we haven't been given any room to breathe. Our own family has wiped their ass with us. Our own friends have betrayed us. And who do we turn to as chosen ones? Nobody. We stand alone. So, of course, we have not worked alchemically with these things. So we're filled with all this anger and resentment and bitterness. What I want you to do when you make your algal talisman, I want you to take that core of absolute anger and malice and bitterness and vengeance, all everything you have in your body, and I want you to put everything into this talisman so that it can be out of your system, so that you can begin to let in the forgiving energy. What we're doing here is uh, we're taking this talisman. This is not my alcohol talisman, but let's pretend it is. We're taking this talisman. We're putting all of our enmity, all of our animosity, all of our anger, our bitterness, our rage, our malice, and we're filling it up so it can do its thing while we focus on purifying and cultivating forgiveness and love. Okay? This is going to be our barrier. This is going to be our shield. And it is going to allow successful ascendance. Okay? If you don't have this particular magic, I'm telling you, you're at a great disadvantage. Step 2 and step 3 are probably the most important steps in this whole operation. If you don't do any of the other 3 steps, 4, 5, and 6, at least do these 2, because this is your balance. This is what keeps you secure and keeps you from going full tilt and giving into resentment and anger and bitterness and becoming a descending soul. They laugh. These demons, they're like crabs in a bucket because they've been there and they failed, and now it fills them with so much glee, and they laugh at your patheticness every time one of these chosen ones gives into their anger and their bitterness and their resentment, and they become like them. They think it's so great and so hilarious. They laugh at you. No more laughing. It's time for tears. You're going to put all of your anger and all of your malice and all of your vengeance, all that sense of unfairness and all that irritation. You're part of this irritation, humiliation ritual. It's all going into this. You understand? And as a result, they will cry. And as a result, they will be humiliated and they will be broken down. They are in a state of trauma and delusion and defense mechanisms and projection. And as part of their soul contract, they made a deal that they don't want to feel that stuff anymore. But they're going to feel it. And they're going to be brutalized. Let's read on. But of course, I should also say that that's just their karma. And of course, they deserve it. And they deserve a whole lot worse than that for the disgusting, terrible things they do. But that's why we're putting all of this energy. We don't want to keep it inside of ourselves. We want to put it into this talisman. And let it go, and then let that talisman do everything while we purify ourselves through forgiveness and love, okay? Like Jesus Christ would. Let's read on. What else do we have? All right. Hi, Christopher. Talisman arrived safely. However, it also made its arrival known by setting off a fire alarm in my building. It was literally when I was about to go pick the package from the mailing address. This was something unusual because all of the elevators weren't working. It's a tall building, so a huge deal. Man, I'm telling you, algal, very intense. And it causes a lot of malfunctions. All right, so he's talking about his algal talisman first. Okay. I was feeling algal by my side from time to time. Recently, while I was chatting with a lady who proved not nice, I was noticing a problem with my router without a reason. And I thought, is this algal when this individual proved so negative and toxic? Since the end of June 2022, something happened. All the love issues I was trying to make easier and positive with my 2 Venus talismans all suddenly landed in an unbelievable way. Okay, now it's time on his Venus talisman. So yeah, there we go. More technical problems and then more relation to toxic people. All right. I'm very happy with the algal talisman. I started seeing the effects on the first day. Okay, that's a short and sweet one. Very happy for you. All right. Good afternoon, Christopher. I wanted to reach out to give you an update and to ask for the consecration date for the algal talisman that I bought. Especially because since I received it a couple of days ago, I just felt an immense sense of peace and my anxiety has decreased. I no longer have that sense of persecution. There you go, chosen ones, that I have had for years. I just feel immense nurturing love, which is odd because I was not expecting that feeling at all. I was a bit nervous about the algal talisman because my house already has a mind of its own. And I have several electrical issues that randomly present themselves with lights going on and off. So I was not sure what was going to happen in the last couple of days. I was driving an electric car, blah, blah. So a few minutes ago, I tried to close the garage door because it was not closing and then it stopped working. Don't know what happened. I guess that is how algal is manifesting the energy. Yeah, so these are all first week algal talisman reviews. This is very common in the first week to have these sort of problems. Last night I had a lucid dream. This woman was trying to use some magic against me, and she looked at me and said, I have a spirit around me. I got excited and woke up. It do be like that. Chosen ones, those days of everybody wiping their ass with you is coming to an end. You're no longer a doe. You're no longer a baby deer. You're a fucking porcupine. And they're going to feel the wrath of algal every time they fuck with you. Now, your suffering is their suffering. And we get to share it together. Isn't that so sweet? Honored Algal yesterday for my birthday since this is her time. She's still keeping negative situations and people away from me. Thanks again. Oh, I love it. And then she talks about a story about turn to stone in honor of Medusa, the image of Algal. On and on it goes. Okay, there's so many testimonies that go all down this page, and you can see the URL here if you want to read it yourself. By all means, but I read through all of those to let it be understood that magic is not a lot of magic is made up fairy tale bullshit, but Picatrix astrological magic is the real thing, and it's very powerful. And if you know what you're doing, it can completely liquefy certain problems you have. But if you don't know what you're doing, it can completely backfire and destroy your life. So this is real magic I'm talking about today. This is not Harry Potter. This is not no fairy tale pretend shit. You must understand this is the most legitimate and probably the most powerful form of magic that exists. So just know that moving forward. Now we're going to talk about how to actually make the talisman. And this is going to involve some patience, and this is going to involve some technicalities that must be observed. But understand that in order to perform the most legitimate and consistently valuable forms of magic, this level of complexity and diligence is to be accepted or to be expected and accepted. Okay? Let's go here. Okay? This is an example of what's called an election, astrological election. All this means is that there is certain auspicious times that are desirable to our desired goals, and when the proverbial stars align, and I hate that expression because the stars almost never align, but when the planets align with in a certain configuration, sometimes with the stars, we call that an astrological election because the powers that are at play are towards our desired end. And this is going to be different for every location. So it's important that when you go to astroseek.com, and you go to AstroSeek Natal Chart Calculator, understand that you got to put in your location. Okay, so you can't just go off of the charts I'm showing in this video. You need to calculate it yourself. All right, so the idea is that Algol is located at 26 degrees, 26 minutes of tropical Taurus, this sign here. See that symbol? We want two things. We want either this line here called the ascendant, It's called an angle, or this line or angle, the MC, also known as the midheaven. One of those two need to be on 26 degrees, 26 minutes of algol. You see? So just make sure that the number that's above the angle reads 26. That's the first thing. Second thing is the moon, which is this symbol here. We want it to ideally be um, applying to the star or the angle. What we mean by applying uh, is that it is coming up to those degrees but not going past it. So if we agree that algol is 26 degrees, 26 of Taurus, 26 minutes of Taurus, and here's our degrees and here's our minutes, then if it's past that, that means it is now separating from our degrees and from our point. It's separating from the algol star, and it's separating from the angle. Um, so it's not the end of the world, but it's not desirable really either. Okay? So this is an example of not a fresh talisman that I'm going to make, but this is going to be an attunement ritual that I'm going to do for the talisman the algol talisman that I was sent to from a fellow occultist. Um, Something that we don't really want is we do not want the sun and the moon to be so close together like that. Now, within certain amount of degrees, it's considered an affliction. As a matter of fact, this would be to a slight degree an afflicted moon, as it's the term would be under the sun's beams, because it's within 15 degrees of conjunction with the sun. Here's our sun. So not the best, but it's around 8 degrees clean or 7 degrees, 30 minutes between that range. That is considered to be combust, which is not good. Okay, and just generally, we want our moon to have some light. So if the moon is aligned with the sun like this, in relation to looking up at the skyline, that means that it's a new moon, which means that the moon has no light. So we don't want that. Um, so yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind. There's some other things to keep in mind as well. But first, let's look at this. This is a chart of an actual algol talisman that I want to make. This one is going to be in July for people, or rather September, late September, for people that are in the Eastern Standard Time zone. Of course, you still have to calculate your chart for your location. But as we could see, the moon is at 25 degrees 9 minutes at Taurus. So it's actually applying and it's moving towards the 26 degrees Taurus of where the star is. So that's good. It's good that it's applying and not separating. It'd be separating if it was 27 degrees or more than 26 degrees, 26 minutes of Taurus. There's some other rules to keep in mind. We have aspects that are formed. So, for example, there is a chart that I was planning until I noticed a little problem to make an algol talisman in July. I believe that was July 2nd, 2024. I believe it was in the wee hours of the morning, like 3:45 or like 3:57 or so. And no, I don't care that you know where I live because algol will fuck you up. And I believe that was right. Yep. And it was just a little bit before that. We would just roll it back a little bit. And I think it was like 45 maybe. Closer. This is showing you how to use the program a little bit. Yeah, so we see that at this point, um, the ascendant angle is on 27 degrees. We want it to be on 26 degrees. So 3 a.m. 37. Yep, it's about right. Okay, so here the ascendant is on 26 degrees, which is where our star is, which is good. And our moon is applying to it. This is also good. There's one little problem. It's this guy right here. This is Mars, and this is the bane of basically the existence of every chosen one. We can see here, it lists all of our angles and all of our aspects. The one thing you need to understand, and as it comes to aspects, I'd say is really the only thing you need to understand, is that conjunctions, we got some oppositions. Oppositions, can I get a square? Come on, give me a square. Wow, no squares. Okay, there's a square here. Oppositions, squares, and conjunctions with Mars or Saturn are extremely undesirable. We don't want those. That indicates great conflict. As it comes to our algal talismans, there's really two planets that we're going to want to pay close attention to when we're making these talismans. One, obviously, is the moon itself, and the other one is what we call the L1 or the Lord of the Ascendant. Am I still recording? I have to check when Algol is wreaking so much havoc on this whole thing. The Lord of the Ascendant is the planet that rules the sign that the Ascendant is in. As you can see, the Ascendant is in Taurus, as it will always be if you're making an Algol talisman with Algol on the Ascendant, which means always the Lord of the Ascendant, or L1, Lord of the first house, is going to be Venus if you are making a talisman with it on the Ascendant rather than the midheaven. So we go to see the condition of our Venus. There's some things to take note of now. Is we want to look for any negative aspects to our Lord of the Ascendant. It's conjunct the Sun, and it narrowly escapes combustion, which is good. It's sextile Mars, which is okay, and it's trine Saturn. So interestingly, these are both of our malefics. This would be very bad if not for the fact that trine and sextile are good aspects, soft aspects. So if it's a square or is an opposition or conjunction, we would probably throw this out, but it's not. It's in good condition. Okay. Um, there's two more things to keep in mind: is the debilities of the Lord of the Ascendant. So if Venus is the Lord of the Ascendant, as it always will be if it's an Ascendant star talisman, we do not want the Venus to be in the following places. We do not want the Venus to be in the sign of Virgo, where it's in its fall. We do not want the Venus to be in the sign of Scorpio, where it's in its detriment. And we do not want the Venus to be in the sign of Aries, where it's also in its detriment. So do not use those if it's an ascendant star talisman. Um, that's really all there is to say about the problems that could exist with regard to, and of course, this is not ideal either, because really we want the sun to be kind of like here. We don't want it to be, you know what I mean, like perfectly across to where it's a full moon. But we want the moon to have some light. So because the moon is in Taurus for these, ideally you would want the sun to be in Libra or the sun to be in Sagittarius. But just we want more light, and if it's only a sign and a half away, it doesn't have so much light. So loses a little bit of power that way. And otherwise, yeah, just mind your sun being conjunct your L1 or your or Lord Ascendant or the moon. Okay. Now this is different if it's a midheaven uh, election, as this one is. Okay. So here Taurus is up here, and the moon, of course, is also in Taurus, and thankfully it is actually conjunct a lot of benefic planets like Jupiter and Venus. That's actually pretty cool. But now, because we still use the Lord of the Ascendant and we still worry about the condition of that, the Ascendant is in Leo, and the ruling sign. Now, this is where you need to know your ruling signs. You can easily Google this. What sign rules Leo? What sign rules Virgo? Yada, yada. Okay? And actually, I'm fairly sure that it's always going to be the sun that is going to be the Lord of the Ascendant if we're doing a midheaven election. Okay, so you have to worry about the condition of Venus and the condition of the Sun when doing algol talismans. And it depends on which one you're doing. If it's a midheaven, you don't worry about Venus, you worry about um, the Sun. And if it's the Ascendant talisman, you don't worry about the Sun, you worry about Venus. So here, what's our activity with the Sun? And just one thing to let's talk about the debilities of the Sun. The Sun is in its fall in Libra, so we do not want the Sun to be in Libra. Um, if it's a midheaven talisman and not an ascendant talisman, we do not want the Sun to be in Aquarius, where it's in its detriment, and that's it. That's the rule for the Sun. Just make sure it's not in Libra or Aquarius. Still recording? Sweet. Okay. And finally, we would check our aspects. All right. No Mars, no Saturn. The Saturn is sextile, which is perfectly a-okay. We are looking pretty good. The only thing we would change about this, if we could, is we would want the Sun to be much further away from the Moon so that the Moon could have some light. So this is how you elect a. Um, this is how you elect a talisman election. I guess one last thing that may be of concern is the houses. We only need to know about is the 12th house, 8th house, and 6th house. So the worst house is the 12th, second worst house is the 8th, and the worst house after that is the 6th. And so if our Lord of the Ascendant is in any of these houses, like deeply in, like let's say like in this case, the moon is technically in the 12th house, but it's so close to the ascendant that we don't really care. But if it's like far into it, like how like Venus is well into the 6th house, here that would actually be a little bit problematic. Yeah, a little bit problematic. Um, Thankfully, it gains a little bit of favor and strength because Venus is in its own sign in Libra. So those are just things to balance out. You know what I mean? You can always ask me questions if you're unsure about anything, but this is the electional side of it. Now we're going to get to. Um, oh no, I'm frozen. I don't like that. Okay, I'm probably going to stop this video and then I'm going to piece the whole thing together at the end. All right, we definitely back up in this motherfucker, man. Now we know how to create our election. This is the lucky, auspicious time to make an algal talisman. We know the rules behind its creation, the technicalities behind it. Now we're going to get into how to actually do the ritual. And so the first thing you would probably do is you would probably create the image on the gemstone. There are two gemstones I recommend for an algal talisman, and I recommend them to both be palm stones. Now, in this case, it's a this is a lazulite palm stone. This is not what you would want to use for that. But just to give you an idea of what a palm stone looks like. Aptly named. Even better if you can get one like this, like a little disc. Here's like a Lemurian aquatine calcite, blue onyx, beautiful, beautiful piece. And you see it's totally flat like that. That would be even better if you could find that, but don't sweat the small stuff. Um, you are going to get either a gemstone of black tourmaline or black obsidian, palm stone or a disc. Okay. This is kind of disc-like, but it's way too tiny. Just to give you perspective of how big we want this thing to be, you know what I mean? A little bit more like this. Okay. For perspective, here is the brass algal. Okay, here's how small this is. So you need to get all these inscriptions on here. You see? Or this algal, which is a coin. It's got the Medusa on the front. and the symbol of algal on the back. You can get this off the 15 Bahamian stars of Wikipedia. But you notice that we got two different images that we can use. Okay? It can be either the Medusa, and you can find that on RenaissanceAstrology.com's website. Don't buy his talismans; they really suck. He intentionally, not intentionally, but he's a cheapskate. He uses bad elections so he can make more money. Um, this is your. If you look up close, it's like a man with a beard that's bloody, but we still see the same symbol, and we notice some keywords that we can write on there related to your goals of what the algo is for. But the idea is you can get yourself a little paint marker. I like the Uni Posca paint markers. And you are going to draw onto your gemstone, either black tourmaline or black obsidian, palm stone. You would draw your image of algal. Either you want to use the Medusa or you want to use the man with the bloody beard, or both. You can Google this and you can see what algal talismans look like, and you'll know what to draw. Okay, there's a lot for you to draw from. But what this does is this is not engrave anything, of course. This just paints the image of what you're going to engrave later. How are you going to engrave on a gemstone? It's this guy right here. This is a diamond tipped stylus. With this, you go over what you painted as your design, and you're gonna grind into it. Your first grind is going to take off a layer of that paint marker. The second one is going to grind into it. So make sure that just because you did the inscription the first time, it is not necessarily engraved fully into the gemstone. You're going to want to go over it a second time in the same line that you just drew. Okay, so this is a diamond tip stylus. You can buy this off the internet. Not sure the brand of that. And so that's the first thing you want to do. Do not engrave yet. Only do the paint marker to make your design. Another thing you're going to probably want, if you want to be really precise and make some really high quality images, and the quality of the image is going to have some bearing on how you feel about the talisman, and that is going to have some bearing on the effectiveness of the talisman. So I recommend that you do the best design that you can so you feel good about it. This is a reflective sort of thing. Let me see if I can find exactly what this thing is called on my Facebook. Come on, motherfucker, work with me here. All right. Algal is going crazy. Here's my group, Outer Planet Talismans. And it was one of these. I think it was this one. Yes. Optical image board. Do we all see this? Okay. No, don't crash! Are we still recording? Okay, it's only the tab that crashed. It scared the shit out of me. But algal is fucking wildin', bro. Look at this! It crashed. We still recording? I don't like this. Okay, well, fix it in post, I guess. I'm telling you that this algal talisman works, boy. I am telling you. Yeah, go to this YouTube.
Hi everyone, welcome.
Go to this video and it will give you some links as to where you can buy this thing. But you'll see how it works is basically you put your smartphone on it and then you can draw with a high.
Clorox toilet wad is the
time for you to shut up now. Let's see. You're going to put your smartphone here, and it's going to reflect onto here. So you could see the reflection on your phone. And then on the other side, you just do your inscription with your paint marker, not your diamond tip stylus yet. You're going to do that on the day of the election. You're going to make your design on there, and then it'll be ready for the day of the election. So I highly recommend buying that product. It makes things a whole lot easier. It makes for some pretty designs. All right. Some other things you're going to want. You're going to want to make an anointing oil. Okay. And for this, you're going to want to make sure that you have real olive oil. Most olive oil is cut olive oil with other oils in it. There's not olive oil. So you don't want to get that. You want to get a real olive oil. I recommend this olive oil for that. California Olive Ranch is pure 100% uncut, pure olive oil. And the idea is we're going to take an herb or incense and we're going to fill up a mason jar with it. And we're going to, for about a month in advance, seep these incenses or leaves in the olive oil so that it becomes an essential oil. For algal, where's my, come on now, that's not it. Here we are. For our algal, a very easy thing to come into possession of that works pretty good is mugwort. Okay? So if you have a hard time finding the other one that I'm about to share with you, just go with the mugwort. But let's go back over to this. We see that algal is primarily associated with black hellebore. Okay? So black hellebore is really the best thing for this if you can get your hands on it. Um, this is that shit. Unfortunately, it's out of stock right now, but this is aided by the fact that the whole black hellebore plant was used from roots to the stem to the leaves to the seeds and also some other stuff. But more importantly, it's aided by the fact that it was picked using electional timing, which means that this individual used a actual algal election in much the same sense that we picked a lucky auspicious time to make a talisman. They used the same reasoning and same electional rules to actually pick the plant itself, which if you look into traditional workings, is actually kind of a big deal. Okay, so this is that shit if you can get your hands on it. This shit is insanely powerful. Some things people say about it: powerful protector, um, and all kinds of stuff, right? um, but you can just, if you can, um, find some black hellebore. Even better if you can find some in the wild and pick it yourself. But you could just order some. But don't worry too much about it if you can't get your hands on that. Mugwort will do just fine. Okay. We're also going to want a chime candle, and you're going to want a single black chime candle. And of course, you're going to want a chime candle container for you to put it in. All right. You're going to want an incense burner. I like this one. Don't got to be too fancy. I see ones that go for like $15 on Google, Amazon, and stuff. Don't worry too much about it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take also our charcoal burner discs. This is Swift Light Charcoal. See this? And we're going to light these, and we're going to put them in our incense burner, and then we're going to put our incense on top of it. So after having already made our essential oil, either with the mugwort or the black hellebore or both, for about a month, we'll come back to it. But um, we're also going to need to have these tools ready: the incense burner, the charcoal discs, and on top of the charcoal discs, we're going to put our incense. In this case, it's Kalea Zakatachichi. I've got a really fancy Trithemian table of practice for purification. So we're keeping demons all the way the fuck out of this. Let that be understood. This is magic intended to get us closer to God. All we're doing is decreasing the intensity of our karma so that we can start to build our chemical skills, alchemical skills that get us closer to God. All right. It's all about intention. It's all about making deals. The point of this deal, get this in your head. This is not about revenge, although it's gonna feel really fucking good to watch the revenge that happens. Don't get wrapped up in this revenge mindset. The point of this is to get these motherfuckers to back off so that you don't fail like so many other chosen ones have failed. It is natural, it is human to give in to the desire to rip these motherfuckers' lives apart because they're worthless, disgusting garbage. But we need to separate ourselves from these feelings. And a very big part of how we're going to do that is by creating this level of protection to decrease the intensity so that we use the intention of getting closer to God. This is a deal we're making. This is not something that the divine forces want us to do. But if we go in with the right intention and we do it properly, the divine forces are going to be much more pleased with us than if we tried and failed to work alchemically with levels of persecution that are far too intense for us to do anything with. All right. So uh, those are our tools for the suffumigation. Um, Suffumigation just means that it's going to be what we put our talisman in, our gemstone, and we're going to cast over some smoke. Here's what the entire process actually looks like. First thing you're going to do is you're going to get some distilled water. Okay. You're going to put it in a little cup. I don't know if I got one around me, but yeah, you're going to put it in a little cup. And the first thing you're going to do when it comes time to do this ritual, you're going to want to start it about, I don't know, like 30 minutes before um, that election, the time of that election that we figured out how to make. And we're going to go put our fingers in that cup. We're going to have on our smartphones a compass app, and we're going to call upon the four angels of the directions. Okay, so we're going to want to take that compass app. You're going to want to face us perfectly east, and we're going to take that water. We're going to sprinkle it in that direction. We're going to say, "In the name of Raphael." Okay, these are four angels. Raphael. And then we're going to face perfectly north. We're going to sprinkle that water. We're going to say, in the name of, where we at? Uriel. And then we're going to face south, and we're going to sprinkle that water. And we're going to say, in the name of Michael. Okay? And then we're going to sprinkle that water in the direction of west, and we're going to say, in the name of Gabriel, please purify this space that we may begin this ritual. Okay? So after that, um, we are going to invoke algal while we suffumigate the talisman. Let me see if I can find that blue book. Here's my little blue book. Over here somewhere, motherfucker. Okay. It's a short little invocation. It's right here. See if it comes up. Wow, that is bright. Okay. Now it's on video. You can just pause and look at it. But it reads, O Algol, hail unto you, Beta Persei, O Resh Al Ghul, fearsome, powerful star. I ask that you grant me personal protection or protect these people in this space from incantations and all attack and reflect all attacks back on the attackers. You're going to want to get, anytime you do one of these operations, you want to get in the mindset and the spirit of the planet or star that you're dealing with. So understand that this is the most vicious, cruel sphere in all of the heavens. So once again, we're taking all of our anger and all of our malice, and we're concentrating it to this operation, and we're letting it go. Okay, so that way it doesn't stay with us. It just does the work. There's no point in anger. There's no point in vengeance. Just lingering as a feeling. You want to concentrate into something that actually does something without necessarily cursing or hexing anybody. You see, you're gonna want to read that 3 times. While you're reading that, you're taking your gemstone, and you have at this point. I should mention this. Before you do this invocation, you're going to want to have lit your chime candle, black chime candle, and you're going to want to have ignited your incense burner's charcoal disc and put your incense, be it black hellebore or be it um, uh, um, mugwort, and you're going to want to get that going. Okay. You light the charcoal disc first, you put it down, then you put it on the side that lets you put the incenses on top of it. Okay. And then it's smoking. And that's what we mean by suffumigate. Be passing it through. You'd be saying the invocation 3 times. All right. That calls the spirit. Okay. That calls the angel of Algol. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to actually inscribe the gemstone. You see? So by now you will already have the design put on there with our paint marker. Okay, you just shake it up and then make your design. You can do this several days in advance. You can do this weeks, months in advance. Don't matter. Just make sure it's ready by the time of the election. Now that you have the design on there, take your diamond tip stylus and you do exactly like I said, and you engrave it in there. You really grind it in there, and then you'll have the image. And you want to make sure, listen very carefully, you want to make sure that the image is finalized and ready. Whatever images you're using, you're definitely going to want to have an Algol Medusa face, or you're going to want to have a man with a bloody beard. But you're definitely going to also want your symbol of Algol, right? Get off the Wikipedia. You're going to want to put a couple words that correspond to what you want the talisman to be for. And you want to finalize the timing of the election. Whenever that time is that you found the perfect election, like I mentioned, you want it to finish that image at the moment of when that happens. When Algol is on the ascendant or midheaven. Okay? When that degree is 26 degrees. And now you have inscribed the image. That was the most important part. That was the moment that the spirit, the angel of Algol, was ensouled in the talisman. Now we're going to do a couple more things. You would take your anointing oil. You would take like a little spoon, put it on top of your talisman. You would rub it over. Okay. Now, guess what we're doing? We're putting another charcoal tab because most likely by now it's already run out of smoke. And we're lighting it again, and we're running more of our incense. We're passing it through again. We're invoking it again. Same invocation as last time. And then you're going to do a little meditation, and you're going to want to feel the spirit that you've just summoned, and you're going to feel it going into your talisman as you hold it, and now you have an Algol talisman. Okay. This is how you do it. And I know it sounds like a lot, but I'm telling you, lesser magics will not be good enough. Okay. Even I'm going to include in the description some hoodoo magics that you can do for short term success. And I know that if you're watching this video, You're excited probably by the prospect of using magic to decrease the intensity of demonic attack. And you're not necessarily probably going to want to wait for a algol election, and you may even be tempted to buy an algol talisman from somebody. I'd be very careful about that. I would make sure that your source is a credible source. I would make sure that you look at the election of when it was made. Now, Christopher Warnock, Renaissance Astrology, his charts are a little bit different because they're traditional style charts. So they're going to be a little bit harder to read. But one thing to understand is that he has very poor standards as it comes to making talismans. I really wouldn't buy from him. Um, Unless, of course, you understand the traditional charts like I do and can verify that it was made. He's honest. He just is a scumbag, you know, very honest, but he's a scumbag. He makes more money off of making talismans with very poor electional standards. But you know, there's people that you can buy from. I think a gemstone really is the way to go. I don't necessarily agree that something like this, a piece of brass, is really the best we can do. But if you want something in a pinch, you can, and come on, guys, have some patience because these are very expensive to make. You know what I mean? What makes them expensive is the fact that these are very situational times that we can do these magical operations. So once it's gone, and there's a lot of waiting involved, and there's a lot of expertise involved in making these talismans too. With regard, and I've pretty much showed you them with regard to making sure that your talisman is safe by making the astrological factors in the right places. But yeah, I mean, you might be putting yourself back like $300 for something that you could probably make for like $30, you know, $40 yourself. So, you know what I mean? You should probably have some patience, but your options are out there. Just make sure that you verify the veracity of the source. Um, where I got my algol talisman from is a gentleman named Eduardo Costa. You can find him as part of the Outer Planet Talismans group that I showed in this video. Um, and he runs a project called the Ivory Tower where he sells talismans. So if you want to pay a lot of money to get something a little bit quicker, you can do that. If you want something in the meantime, before your algal election comes to pass, there is some hoodoo you can do. I'm going to include some videos for one of the most reputable and powerful hoodoo magicians that I know in the video description. But this is really what you're looking for. Okay, this is one of the most important steps that a chosen one really needs because this is the damage mitigation step. This is finding your balance. If you don't have this, you're fucked. And definitely, if you don't have the step that I'm gonna reveal after this in my next video in the series, you're also fucked. You need an algal. Okay, you need some level of protection, and prayer is not gonna work. Let me make this very clear, as I have made clear in videos in the past. Prayer doesn't work. It doesn't work, and you know it doesn't work because you've tried it and it doesn't work. It may be a way of doing a kind of meditation to get some answers about the things that's happening to you, but it is not the kind of thing that you're making a deal and you're making a quantifiable difference in the things that happen in your day-to-day life. That's what magic is for. You're making a deal. Do it responsibly. Make your deals responsibly. Understand that there's no such thing as free magic and everything costs something. And you are putting off your karma for future lifetimes. You are taking a debt out of your future self that you'll have to pay. But the reason this is a smart investment, because deals and um, debts, how would you say, loans are not necessarily bad. You know, you can make smart investments using loans, and what this is a loan. If you take this energy now to protect yourself, and you use that with the intention of, I'm not just going to decrease the intensity of this, I'm also going to use this as a point of time that I can breathe and start to learn to work alchemically with energies that were previously too intense for me to do anything productive with. If you do that, you have dramatically increased the probability of your successful transcendence. This is why this talisman is so important. It's not about punishing the shit out of the people that have wiped their ass with you. It is not about making it so you don't have to suffer so much and you can slack off. Use this as a stepping stone to doing the actual alchemical work that I'm going to be showing you in the subsequent videos. If you don't do the alchemical work, you'll never transcend. The evolutionary pressure will continue to increase past the point of this doing anything for you, and you will start to descend. Okay? Wow, I've got a lot of video editing to do as a result of Algol wreaking havoc on this video, but what do you expect with a first week Algol? Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't be scared by any of this. One thing about me is I don't do anything that is impractical, unrealistic, or dangerous. Everything I do is safe and high quality, and I am chosen. And not as a point of arrogance, just as a point of reality. The level of quality of my information is far beyond the mindset and quality and resources and tools of other chosen ones. Okay, this is the probably one of the most advanced channels. I haven't seen other ones that come nearly as close, that are so on point with regard to how to navigate being a chosen one. So you're in good hands. And if you have any kind of problems related to these operations, rest assured that you can count on me and you can call upon me to set it right. These are very important steps that you're going to be taking. And I wish you a lot of happiness and success in the process. Don't use this as an opportunity to slack off by reducing the volume and intensity of your evolutionary pressure. Okay? Don't slack off. You turn down the volume and then you start to listen and then you start to transmute. I'm going to teach you how to transmute. And I'm going to teach you after such a dark video, such a dark and intense video. Next video, I'll be wearing white. Okay? This is the yin. Next video is going to be the yang. I'm going to teach you how to use love and forgiveness on these demonic people to get closer to divinity. Stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching.